This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I am so excited. I got Kyle Allen.
How you doing, man?
Welcome to the Playbook.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
I think you may be the youngest quarterback I've had on, so this is going to be good.
It's an honor, man. Thank you.
You know, I always say that the universe pushes us towards where we need to be. And, you know, doing some research on you, I think you have a lot of shared perspectives that I have. In fact, I know someday you and I will be doing business together. So I'm looking down your qualities. You're one of the people who look at life as, you know, the glass is half full. You're
100%.
looking for opportunities. Yeah. You're not looking, you know, to the negative side of things. You know, here, even you go to college, Texas A&M, do really well, but instead of kind of staying put, which could have been a negative situation for you, you turned into going to Houston, which I thought was an extraordinary opportunity.
I did too.
You know, it's nerve-wracking though. I've made life decisions like that at a much older age. What were some of the things that you were thinking about when you were deciding, okay, I'm going to leave, you know, this great opportunity to move to, you know, what other people at the time didn't think was such a great opportunity?
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to me is I'm a very goal-oriented person. And so throughout all of college, for better or worse, my goal was to make it to the NFL in some capacity. And I wanted to win games in college 100%. And so that sophomore year at A&M, where we had a lot of success and we had some negatives, and in the negatives I was getting pulled in and out of the games. And in my mind, I want to create the best resume for myself to show these coaches, to show these GMs what I'm about. And so at the end of that year, I just kind of sat down and say, are these things happening at A&M in congruence with my goals? And so at that point, I decided they just weren't. And like you said, I was a really young age, and that was a tough decision for me because I have so many lifelong friends from there. I spent 2 years there. I give that university my heart and everything. And I remember that day that I left A&M, and I was crying for hours, man. The flight home, I was crying, man. And I didn't know what I was going to do because at that point, I had no clue where I was going. I had no clue Houston was the next stop. So I just made the decision. I said, this is my goal. I don't think the situation around me is helping me get to that goal. So let's pursue something else.
And how did you articulate that to the coach and the AD? Because, you know, there's so much pressure. You know, I've been 100%. In this business a long time. There's so much pressure. And they make sure, it's like in business, something called the golden handcuffs. Okay. You know, being a boss, what you want to do is put so much loyalty and pressure on your stars.
Yes.
Right? And you pay them well or whatever. In college, we don't pay. But, you know, you want golden handcuffs where it's like emotionally, it's the hardest part. Forget everything else. Like, this guy has believed in me, hoped on, like, how did you deal with that and articulate it to those two people, which most depended on you?
Yeah, and I think that what you said best was the emotional part of it. There's such an emotional connection to these fans, to a lot of the coaches on the team who have poured so much into me. And, like, going out there every Saturday, 110,000 people who poured so much into me, the teammates as well. Yeah, everybody, man. And it's just, to articulate it to the coaches, I think that was the easiest part for me, just because I knew that the situation being created wasn't best for my future. And so that was the easiest part for me. But my teammates, the people who I'd lived with for 2 years, all the people in the city. And
I have a Texas A&M alumni friend that called me crying. I'm like, grow up, Rocky.
No, it's like that's how it is there, man. It's insane. And that's why I loved it so much, man. And it's just,
that's also how good you are.
I appreciate that.
That's really cool.
But yeah, it's the emotional connection to everything, man. I think that was the toughest part, is like, I gave that my all. And when I got there when I was 17 years old, I graduated early from high school, got there when I was 17. And I just poured my heart into it, man, because I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to love on all these people here, and I want to create a connection with these people here. And it was just tough to leave.
And just like in business, you had to make a new opportunity, make a new decision. You're still very young.
Yeah.
How did you make the decision to go to Houston?
It was very business-like. You know, I looked at these situations very business-like. I said, what's going to give me the best opportunity to play quickly, and what's going to give me the best opportunity to get eyes on me from an NFL perspective? And for me, that was Houston at that point. They had a quarterback that had 1 year left. Houston was on the rise. They were maybe going to be in the Big 12 the next year. So I thought, I want to bring this team who's on the rise, maybe going on a big stage, and hopefully do something big for them. And that was also my reasoning for going to Texas A&M. I wanted to bring a program that was on the rise and about to do something, and I wanted to take them over the top.
Which is awesome. Yeah. Now, you go to Houston. The interesting thing about college athletes that are hyper intelligent like yourself, and you are, like, you're very business oriented, you're goal oriented, you have discipline, strategy, you have great awareness for someone so young, but you went to college to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
How did school itself, the academic side, did you feel as if you know what, I'll deal with this stuff later? Or did you take the challenges of the academic side very seriously and just decide I'm gonna get as much as I can out of this to prepare myself for what is going to be the business side of being in the NFL?
Yeah, I think that was a learning process for me as well, going through that. My freshman year, I took it very seriously because in high school, I took academics very seriously. I was an A and B student, 100% doing honors classes. So my freshman year, I took it very seriously. And at the end of my freshman year, I think I saw a lot of success in football. And so sophomore year, I put a lot of my focus into football and kind of let that fall to the side. Not that I got bad grades, but I wasn't taking the hardest classes, you know what I mean? I was trying to just set myself up for football. And then when I went to Houston, I had my redshirt year, your forced redshirt year from transferring. And so I took, I think it was like 51 or 54 credit hours that year. It was 18 in the spring, 15 in the summer, 18 in the fall. Because I fell behind there, man. And all my credits that I transferred over, they were like, you didn't take, these classes don't mean anything, man. Like you got to take some real classes. So I went there and I really grinded it out there. And I did 54 hours. That whole off year was just spent on school and trying to better myself from a film perspective and a mental perspective. And then try and set myself up. So that senior year when I was going to play, I had the least amount of school to focus on. I think I had like 12 hours left to graduate, and then I could focus on football. Sorry.
It's interesting because I have a philosophy about college players being paid. I have a philosophy about what I believe should be the scholarship side. I won't ever ask someone that's, even though you're out of college, I don't like to ask athletes about being paid. But I do like to figure out this question. I believe that what if they take a kid like you and say you have 5 years, a 5-year scholarship. So here's your 5-year scholarship, but don't go to school. Don't go to classes. If you want to take a few, that's up to you. But when you're done playing, right, I want you to focus, just like if I was a musician, I want to focus all my time on everything musician. So come to A&M or come to Houston or come to USC. Here's 5-year scholarship, but you're here and you have 4 years of eligibility in those 5 years to be here. We're going to pay for your room, your board. When you're done playing, whether it's when you finish playing here and you can't get into the NFL, XFL, CFL, whatever, your AFL,
all of them,
all above, the new, whatever the
AAF,
of all the shows that they have,
like
have Carrie, one of these TV shows. Whenever you're done, come back and go to school on us, right, and focus in on education. And that opportunity exists because, as you know, you're an anomaly. Things worked out for you, and they're still working out for you. Which will lead us to the next question. Do you think that's, as someone who just graduated, into the NFL, is that something that you would have been interested in? It, let's say when you're done playing in the NFL, or if you didn't make it?
Yeah, and I think the way you're thinking about it is very similar to the way I think about it. Is I like to give all of my effort and all my energy to one thing. So my passion would be football, obviously, and I wanted to give all my effort and energy to football. And when you're doing that, it's hard to juggle school and football. And I'm not saying it's not possible. A lot of guys do it. A lot of guys kill it in school and then kill it on the field too. There's people like that. But I would agree. I would think that if I really wanted to get my full academic experience out of college, I couldn't have done football. Because with me, like I said, I just like to give all my energy into one thing at one time and really go after it. And I just didn't feel like I could with football and school.
Yeah, and I represented Myron Roll, for example, who won the Rhodes Scholarship. And I always said, people say, well, there's proof you can do both. I said, no, it's not. It's a hyper-intelligent student that was a great football player. But in the end, like even his going to Oxford with the Rhodes Scholarship affected his chances of playing in the league. And I truly believe, although I was in support of him being a brain surgeon and soon a senator someday or whatever, that he would have done much better if he only focused in on football. And I think he would have had a long career in the NFL if that's all he focused in on. And he would have been a better student even though he won the Rhodes Scholarship, he still had more potential. So, everything, you make all these brave choices and you make the best of them, which seems to be your philosophy. You go to the league and you're not playing. In fact, you're third string. Let people know, how does it feel, to be third on the depth chart? When you're young, you have a future, but explain to most people how that feels.
Well, it's not even third on the depth chart for me, because I was third on the depth chart for 1 week. Then they brought in someone else after week 1 and sent my ass home. For 7 weeks. And so I'm sitting here at home on my couch. And it's like you said, it's all about my mindset and my disposition. Is I just have trust in the process, as Joel Embiid would say. I just trusted the process, man. And I'm sitting at home. I know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I have confidence in my game and myself. And for me, it's all about opportunities. and what you do with your opportunities. I think the thing I'm most scared of in this world is not being prepared enough for an opportunity. And so for me, I'm just trying to take every preparation possible so that when I get my opportunity, I take advantage of it, and then I take that next step. And then the next one comes and I take that next step. And so that was really how it was. And it didn't matter if I was second string, third string. I was just looking at, okay, I'm third string right now. What am I going to do to jump the second string? And then I'm second string. What am I going to do to be a great backup and hopefully someday become a starter somewhere?
It's funny because one of your teammates who got dumped by 2 teams last season and ended up in the Super Bowl, we always talk about consistent every day, persistent without quit, pursuit of your potential. People don't understand preparedness. The universe, I believe, is sudden. Things happen suddenly. You get a chance suddenly, you get taken out of a chances suddenly. But the consistent thing that makes you different than everyone else is when you're prepared for the successes and the failures of suddenness, when you're prepared for that, things happen. And I see so many people not successful because they don't even see an opportunity was there. They go home after game 7, right, or for 7 weeks, and they get out of shape. They maybe drink and party and hang out with their friends, or worse, they put faith in what they don't want. Right? Every day they're sitting going, I got screwed. I have a business partner, most young people don't know, who had to sit up in Edmonton for 6 years and play football for the CFL. Most people know Warren Moon, because of the color of his skin, had to go to Edmonton. Could you imagine being as good as Warren Moon at the time? And for 6 years, what he had to put faith in? Because you sat at home for 7 weeks.
7 weeks compared to 6 years.
But you were in Arizona.
Not in Edmonton.
Right, exactly. I mean, think about it. But the difference between the great Hall of Famers and like you have it, right? You get it, is that perspective. Where does that perspective come from?
I think it comes from experience, man. And I don't think it's been that way my whole life. I think the experiences I went through in college where I was down and out, I was transferring, confidence was at a low. I think that I've been through that wave of emotions and the wave of confidence levels and everything, that I have perspective from both ends of everything. I've had perspective of when I was at A&M, my junior year, or my sophomore year, I had some scouts saying I was going to be the number 1 quarterback picked in the next year's draft. And then I transfer and I go to Houston, and there's not a peep about me for 2 years. And I get benched at Houston, and people are laughing at me for going to the NFL. And so I have that perspective of how does it feel to be up here and have all these successes, and how does it feel to be down here and have all these adversities and losses. And I don't think I was always good at reacting to those. And I think my experiences through those and reacting to them differently and learning from those experiences has made me be able to deal with adversity and success a lot better than I used to.
And last season, nothing different changed from you, from being sent home to being 3rd on the depth chart, coming into the last game, 2nd on the depth chart, and then actually getting to start.
Exactly.
When you had the opportunity, what was your mindset that being able to start in an NFL game?
I think it was interesting what you said earlier about the universe acts suddenly, because I was at home week 10, I was on practice squad, snap of a finger, I'm active, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to dress out for my first NFL game. Second quarter comes around, and I'm in the game playing. And I think that it comes back to what I said about your opportunities and being prepared for them. I was incredibly prepared for my opportunities. And I think, especially from a quarterback's perspective, you have to trust yourself and you have to trust your game. Your eyes can play tricks with you out on the field. And I think if you don't trust your eyes and you don't trust your preparation through the week and what you've seen, then it doesn't matter what you did that whole week, you might fail. And so for me, it was all about taking it play by play, not overthinking situations, not thinking about, we need to do this by the 4th quarter. Oh, I wish I didn't do this in the 1st quarter. Taking it play by play and just trusting everything that I've done to get there. And I think that with a lot of things in life, you just got to trust what you've been doing, because if you put in the preparation, then it should be fine.
What's the number 1 difference between starting in college and starting in the NFL?
I think that the number 1 difference for me was how much time and energy I spent into getting prepared during the week. And because it's like you said, it's a full-time job. Like you said, you should have 5 years to play in college and focus on that. I mean, NFL, you're up there from 7 to 5 every day, 7 to 6, depending on what you're doing, or staying early, staying late. And so my preparation was just so much better. And I think that when I was going into the game, I just had so much more trust in, like, this is what the plan is. I've prepared for it. I know everything they're going to do, so just trust it.
And what are you most afraid of going into next season?
I don't know if there's something I'm most afraid of. I would say that I try to do the best job I can of just focusing on what I can do, because I've experienced the outer things that you can't control, coming in and saying, hey, we're gonna sit you this game. Hey, you're this on the depth chart. Like, you can't control those things, right? And so for me, it's just controlling what I can control and just being prepared. It's like I said earlier, the thing I'm most afraid of is not being prepared for my opportunity. And so just continuing to do that.
The one thing that you are completely enlightened about, which I find incredible, because it's interesting about quarterbacks. I told you I love interviewing quarterbacks because they are, the most hyper intelligent. They process things quicker. It's very extraordinary for a quarterback not to be able to process things quickly. But they're like rabbits, in my opinion. Most quarterbacks have really big ears, and they're emotional, but they can keep their emotions in check. But they listen to other people, right? And it's really hard. I always say, if the problem with playing quarterback is you have 80,000 fans watching you, millions on TV, and I have that now with the social media side.
Exactly.
There's like a million every time this video, right? There's gonna be a million reputations of me and you, and unfortunately, when things go bad, I don't watch The Housewives, but I watch my wife watch The Housewives because this is all edited stuff. And meanwhile, they make and portray someone poorly. Now that poor lady has 35 million bad reputations. How do you deal with your reputation, when things go really well or when things go really poorly?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to experiencing the highs and the lows like we talked about earlier. And for me, I know who I am personally, and I've done a lot of self-work and self-talk to realize that it really doesn't matter what, sorry to say this, but what people behind the camera think. You know what I mean?
I get it.
It really doesn't matter.
Not what you do, not how much you have, and definitely not what other people think.
Exactly.
Three rules.
100%. And so with me, I have people in my circle. I have a close circle. I got people in my circle who will keep me in check if I'm going astray, and I trust them and I trust their opinion, and that just goes through years of creating those relationships. And outside of those people, you could think whatever you want about me. You could think I'm the worst quarterback in the NFL. You could think I'm the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm sure most people don't think that, but you can think whatever you want. For me, I know who I am, and as long as I'm doing right by my people, it's cool with me.
Yeah, as long as you're good. Well, last question. You have a long career in front of you in football. I believe you're having a longer career in business ahead of you, and I'm really looking forward to when you're ready and focused on that side. I'm going to be waiting here to coach you, because you have we're time freaks,
Oh, 100%. We're matching up right now, yeah.
I'm going to turn it around for someone like you. I always like to do this with younger people that I look up to, because you are light years ahead of where I was when I was your age. What advice would you give to someone like me, who's 51 years old, kind of on this social media thing, but an experienced traditional business person as well? What type of advice would you give to someone like me?
Well, we just met, so I don't know you super well, but for me, when I always look at people like my dad, people like older people who have just...
Make me feel really old.
No,
your dad's probably younger. My dad's younger than me, but that's all right.
Yeah, but I look at people who have just grinded it out their whole lives and who've really gotten after it, and people who I look up to a lot and just put on for everybody in their family and really try to take care of anybody. And for me, what I want to be at that age is I want to be able to take care of everybody, but I just really want to just enjoy who I am as a person and enjoy the things around me and just really be present, man. I think for me, it was just especially this year, man, I've really worked on being present, just being where my feet are, not worrying about all the other things. When I'm here, I'm where my feet are. And that's in the game, every single play, be where your feet are, man. Just be present.
Sounds very Jordan Palmer-esque, the bio of a
Yeah,
Buddha.
it's just going right through me.
That's right.
Yeah. But for real, man, that's really what I've thought about lately. And it's calming for your mind, man. It just really keeps you at peace.
That is a very wise statement from a very young man. Well, we have the new young Buddha of the NFL, Kyle Allen. And I am looking forward to many more interviews, many more successes.
Yeah,
you
man.
won me over. You got a new fan.
I appreciate that, man.
I may have to start watching the Panthers again. I used to watch when CJ played. Now I have to watch again.
There you go. Yeah, you're a little mad.
You're going to be super successful. Anyway, Kyle Allen with David Meltzer here on Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.